This isn't a double garage, it's actually my workshop. And this isn't a garage door, it's actually a wall with a hidden access. Welcome to Proper DIY, my name is Stuart Matthews and this is the start of a series of videos where I show you how I convert this garage into my dream workshop, starting today with how I built this fake garage door. Recently we moved into a new house which comes with this, which is what estate agents call a carriage house or a cart lodge. I don't call it that, I call it a garage with no door. It's 6.7 metres wide by 5.7 metres deep with an eaves height of 2.5 metres and is already connected with power, so as you can imagine I think has a huge potential as a workshop. The first thing I needed to do was to make it weather tight, so I designed a timber stud wall with openings for some small garage type windows that from the outside would end up looking like a traditional garage door to suit the house and the neighbourhood. In the middle of this fake garage door I also designed in a 4-foot wide demountable panel which I can take out within a few minutes, allowing me in the future to get bigger items in and out of the garage. I wanted the inside sheathing of this wall to fly past the steel beam up to the ceiling, essentially boxing it in. So the wall position front to rear is essentially set by this beam, so that's where I started. To get a solid connection I wanted to bolt the timber to the underside of the beam, so I needed some holes. And because of the lack of headroom I quickly worked out that I could only drill these from below. However, when I tried this, it didn't take long before I realised that by hand I would never be able to put enough pressure behind the drill bit to get it to cut. So a plan B was needed. I used a simple frame made out of timber, so I could then use an outward opening clamp to push the drill. If you want to see what I did in more detail and the key principles for successfully drilling through mild steel, check out the link that's on the screen now or in the description below, where I've already posted a detailed video. So at this point I'd like to say, before I get any more comments about drilling holes in RSJs, I just want to clarify the following. 1. I'm using a drill because I haven't got a Rotabroach mag drill and I don't want to spend the money hiring one. 2. Although I just called this an RSJ, I did so because that's what the UK public and most builders still refer to it as. Its proper name is a universal beam, sometimes called an I-beam. Number 3, it's a fallacy that you cannot or you're not allowed to drill through universal beams. Obviously any holes in steel beams will reduce the potential for it to take load, so any project that requires drilling into beams should be reviewed and given the OK by a qualified civil or structural engineer, which I am. Thank you. Let's move on. With the holes drilled, I could position the 4x2 in its final position, and with this marksman marking spray paint, mark the positions to be drilled. I'm using standard M8 coach bolts here to bolt the timber in place. Between the timber all around the perimeter of the garage opening and the structure, whether it be the steel at the top or the bricks on the side, I'm using a DPC polythene to protect the timber from moisture. Bolting these timbers to the bottom flange of this steel beam gave the top of the future wall an absolutely solid connection. With these timbers in place I could plumb down on either side to the floor to get an exact position for the bottom rail. On this bottom rail I pre-marked where the future uprights were going to go, so I could avoid putting a fixing in the same position. With this base plate in the correct position on the garage floor, I used my SDS drill to drill into the concrete for the fixings. The ones I'm using here on the bottom rail are 10mm concrete screws or concrete fixing, sometimes also known as thunderbolts, which is a trade name. These essentially cut their own thread into the concrete, and so far I've only had good experiences with them. This is my first upright going in, and I'm going to be fixing this using these frame fixings, which are essentially like a big raw plug and a screw that gets drilled through the timber into the brickwork and end up sitting around about there. So that gives me about that much embedment, which is about 70mm, which I think I'm going to be happy with. Which leads me on to the perennial question of, do you drill into the brickwork or into the mortar course? And if you do some investigation, everyone will tell you that you drill into the brickwork because it's harder, it's more consistent. The mortar course may have voids in, depending on the bricklayer on the day. Having said that, most of the time in my past I've drilled into the mortar course. I've never had a failure, and more importantly, this is a temporary door, so I can see in the future at some point this being taken out and me fitting a proper roller shutter door. At that point, any holes that I make in this I may want to repair, and I think it's going to be far easier to repair something in the mortar to make it look as if it was never there than in the brickwork. So I'm going to be drilling this and fixing into the mortar, unlike the rest of the world. These side fixings are not particularly important, as all the uprights I'll be putting in are actually spanning top to bottom. However, with the brickwork adjacent, I just can't resist fixing the timber to it. A bit of belt and braces really. So that's the perimeter frame just about done. It took a little bit longer than I wanted to, but then DIY always does, doesn't it? So now I'm going to start on the uprights in the middle, and this should go a lot quicker. With my laser level, I marked vertical reference lines top and bottom on either side, so I could set out the positions of the vertical members. There are 4 of these, splitting the wall into 5 sections, with the middle section being an access panel I can open up in the future if needed. Whatever I measured and marked in one direction, I checked from the other direction to ensure symmetry. So I'm using this jig just to help me get everything centered, and then I'm essentially what's called toenailing with screws, and that's essentially where you're screwing in an angle to do the fixing. Now I picked screws because A, this might be coming down at some point in the future, so it's easier to take apart, and B, I just like the strength and the bite the screw has rather than the nail as well. It's a little bit quieter on the neighbours. This little jig I made not only helps position the upright correctly, but I made it so I could securely clamp it to the base and header so the timber doesn't push back when I'm trying to put these toenail screws in. Once all the uprights were in place, I used my laser level to put a datum on each so I could accurately install the frame for the windows. I've designed this fake door with 10 small windows at roughly eye level, which I've already bought from a private seller on eBay. I made another jig which replicates the glazing plus timber surround, which made it easy to accurately fix the frames for these windows. Although there are equal spacings, they're not necessarily centred on the uprights, making their positioning a little bit tricky. I use 18mm ply for the outside structural face. Before fixing any of these, I gave all surfaces a couple of coats of sealer just to help them out against moisture. Once the framing is finished, fixing the ply is a fairly straightforward task, except for the weight of these almost full sheets. Okay, so this door is going to be made out of the 18mm ply with a backing of CLS on the flat, which is 38mm thick. And rather than trying to make it and then hope that it fits into the doorway, I've screwed the ply to the doorway temporarily at the moment, and I'm going to make this frame actually in situ while keeping it shimmed all the way around, so I'll get a little bit of play, which hopefully means it should fit. I sealed all around the perimeter with silicone and then covered the wall in a DPM material. Although this isn't the perfect material to use, I already had it for free, and although it may contain the moisture within the structure, it will definitely keep the weather away from the ply wall. I turned the centre section into a temporary door just by hanging it on a couple of spare hinges, and suddenly I had a weatherproof workshop. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, so please check out part 2 of this video here to see me put the cladding on the outside, this sheathing and the insulation on the inside, and also explain to you where the windows have disappeared to. See you next time.